I used to think living alone would be peaceful. But now I know there's nothing more terrifying than being the only one who hears it. I moved into the apartment complex 3 months ago. It wasn't glamorous, just a plain brick building near the edge of the city. A little cracked around the edges, but quiet. And for me, that was enough. I was coming out of a rough patch. Divorce, job loss, all the fun stuff. So when I found a cheap unit with no roommates, no noise, and no expectations, I signed the lease that same afternoon. Apartment 6A. Top floor, left side. The first 2 weeks were bliss. No neighbors blasting music. No footsteps above me. I assumed the unit next door, 6B, was vacant. Until one night, around 3 a.m., I heard the faucet turn on. Not mine. Through the wall. Just a soft, steady stream of running water, followed by a metallic clink. Over and over. Like someone dropping a spoon into a sink. I remember lying in bed, thinking, guess 6B isn't empty after all. I met the landlord in the hallway the next morning. A short woman with too many keys and zero patience. I asked her about the unit next door. "Oh, that one," she said. "Nobody's in there. Been empty 6 months." I blinked. "You sure?" "I heard something last night." She just shrugged. "Pipes are old. They groan. Or maybe you're hearing the guy downstairs." But I wasn't. The apartment below me was 5B, and I knew who lived there. A guy named Mark. We had a beer together the day I moved in. He wasn't the type to be up washing spoons at 3 a.m. The noise happened again the next night. Same time. Same sound. Running water. Clink. 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 I pressed my ear to the wall. This time, I heard more. Breathing. And a voice, low, mumbling. Not words exactly. More like pacing thoughts. Agitated. Fragmented. I couldn't make any of it out. But it didn't stop. I knocked on the wall, half joking. The breathing paused. Then, a knock back. 3 soft taps. I stepped away from the wall fast, heart thudding. The room was dead silent again. I didn't sleep that night. A few days passed with no sound. I started to convince myself it had been in my head, some trick of plumbing or echoes in the walls. Then, a note slid under my door. White paper. 1 sentence. Neat block letters. "Stop listening to me." I opened the door instantly. No one in the hallway. No sound of retreating footsteps. Just a long, empty corridor, bathed in fluorescent hum. I took the note downstairs to the landlord. She scanned it once, then frowned. "Looks like your handwriting," she said. "Playing tricks on yourself?" I laughed nervously, but her words stuck with me. Because she wasn't wrong. It did look like my handwriting. But I didn't write it. At least, I didn't think I did. That night, I stayed up. Sat in the dark with a flashlight and a notebook. I was determined to figure this out. At 3:06 a.m., the sounds began again. Water. Clinking. Low voice. But this time, I heard words. Muttered through the wall, just barely audible. "Don't forget the face, don't forget the face, he's in the mirror now, he knows I'm here." I knocked again. Silence. Then, 3 knocks back. But this time, not from the wall. From the closet. I stood up slowly. The air in the room had changed, still, tense. Even the city noise outside felt far away. The closet door was shut. I hadn't opened it in days. I took 1 step forward, and the doorknob rattled. I froze. It rattled again, harder this time, like someone was gripping it from the inside. I ran out of the apartment. Barefoot. No keys. Just sprinted down the hall and pounded on the landlord's door. She opened after the 4th knock, eyes bleary. "Jesus, what now?" Apartment 6B, I gasped. Someone's in there. I heard it again. And now there's something in my closet. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said, "Follow me." She pulled out a massive ring of keys and led me up the stairs. We stopped at the door to 6B. "I'm opening it," she said. "So you can see for yourself." I nodded. She unlocked the door and pushed it open. The apartment was pitch black. She flipped the light. It was empty. No furniture. No dishes. No rugs. No curtains. Just dust, bare walls, and a damp smell. But as I stepped into the room, I felt something shift. Like stepping into a memory that wasn't mine. And on the far wall, the one that bordered my bedroom, was a message. Carved into the paint. Scratched deep and jagged, like with a key or a nail. It read, "He's in 6A now." I couldn't stop staring at the words carved into the wall. He's in 6A now. My apartment. Me. The landlord stood beside me with her arms crossed, unimpressed. "See? Nobody's here. Probably just some junkie broke in weeks ago and messed around. But it's fresh," I said. "The dust, it's cleared around the letters." She shrugged. "Then maybe you did it." That stopped me cold. I didn't. She looked at me long and hard. People who live alone get ideas. They hear things, see things. You gotta keep a schedule. Drink water. Get outside. Then she turned and left, muttering something under her breath I couldn't quite catch. I followed after her slowly, glancing back one last time at that wall. At the door. At the empty space that didn't feel empty at all. And then I went back to 6A. My place. Except when I stepped inside, something felt off. Not visibly. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. But the air wasn't right. It smelled like dust and rusted metal. And the walls looked somehow closer. Like the whole apartment had shrunk a little while I was gone. I sat down at the kitchen table. Put my hands on the wood. Tried to slow my breathing. It was just in my head. Except, there was a new note on the floor. Same paper. Same handwriting. "You opened the door. It's yours now." I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up with every light on, flashlight in hand, door locked, phone recording audio just in case. I set the recorder near the closet and tried not to look at it. Around 2:59 a.m., the room got cold. Not just cool, cold. My breath came out in faint clouds. My skin prickled. And then the clinking started again. But louder this time. Like it was in the walls. Like it was inside the walls. I grabbed my phone and stared at the screen. The recording was active. Good. Proof. Then the breathing came back. Deep. Hoarse. Just inches away. I turned slowly toward the closet. The door was open. Wide open. Even though I know I'd locked it shut. Inside, darkness. Thick, layered. And within it, two pale hands. Gripping the doorframe from the inside. But no face. Not yet. I backed out of the room. Didn't take my eyes off it once. I turned the lock on my front door behind me and went downstairs again. The landlord wasn't there. Her door was open, but the lights were off. I knocked. Called out. Nothing. So I left. I got in my car, drove to a hotel, and didn't return for 2 days. When I came back, I was calm. Focused. I brought 2 things with me, a crowbar and a cheap handheld thermal camera. If something was living in my walls, I wanted proof. And if I was cracking up, I wanted to know. The apartment was quiet when I entered. Sunlight through the blinds. Smelled like stale coffee and forgotten laundry. I set the camera to scan the walls. Started in the living room. Nothing. Moved to the kitchen. Still nothing. Then I hit the bedroom. One wall, the wall connected to 6B, lit up red. Heat signature. Roughly the size of a person. Standing upright. Not moving. I pressed my ear to the wall again. Nothing. Then, like before, the knock. 3 soft taps. But this time, they weren't replying to me. They were calling me. So I did something stupid. I knocked back. Tap. 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 A pause. Then, through the drywall, a voice. "You're almost ready." I dropped the camera. Stumbled backward. Because it wasn't just the words. It was the voice. It was mine. I didn't move for a long time. Just stood there, staring at the wall that had spoken with my voice. Not a recording. Not an echo. It had spoken to me. "You're almost ready." What the hell did that mean? I picked up the thermal camera again. The heat signature was gone. Just cold surface now, like nothing had ever been there. I tried to laugh it off. Tell myself it was some weird plumbing vibration, or I was sleep deprived, or losing it. But no matter how many times I blinked, the words were still burned into my head. I'm not the kind of person who scares easy. But that night, I couldn't stay. I packed a bag and left the apartment again, slept in my car at a rest stop 30 miles away. I figured I'd come back in the morning and get the rest of my stuff. Call the landlord. Break the lease. Burn the place if I had to. But when I came back the next day, my name wasn't on the door anymore. The door to 6A had a different number entirely. 7B. There was no 7th floor. I looked at the walls, the hallway, the layout. Everything was the same, and yet completely wrong. Worse, the door across the hall, where 6B had been. It was gone. Not just locked. Gone. Drywall. No frame. No hinges. Just a flat wall where a door should be. I spun around. Looked down the hallway for any neighbors. Nothing. All the doors looked different now, darker wood, older hardware. Like the building had aged 100 years overnight. And the smell. Mold, copper, and something, chemical. Like photo developer fluid in wet newspaper. I turned to leave, but the elevator was gone too. There was a staircase, sure. But it didn't go down. It only went up. And I swear to you, I live on the top floor. I took one step toward the stairs. That's when I heard it again. The voice. My voice. Not through the wall. From inside my head. Only louder now. Like it had found a home. "You shouldn't have knocked." I turned and ran. Back into the apartment. My apartment. Or what used to be. It looked the same, mostly. But the layout had shifted, subtly. The kitchen was smaller. The hallway longer. The windows darker. And there was a new door in the back. One I'd never seen before. It was slightly ajar. A cool breeze spilled out from the crack. And behind it, complete blackness. I didn't want to go through it. I swear I didn't. But I wasn't in control anymore. My legs moved on their own. I stepped inside. No floor. No walls. Just a single wooden chair in the middle of a vast, endless dark. And in the chair, a man. Slumped forward. His face buried in his hands. He looked up as I approached. And I knew right away. It was me. Not a copy. Me. Same scars. Same tired eyes. Same shirt I'd worn on moving day. He stood slowly, movements twitchy and wrong, like a marionette with tangled strings. "Welcome home," he said. I shook my head. "I'm not, you're not." "I never left," he said, voice flat. "You did. But you weren't supposed to." I stepped back. He didn't follow. Just pointed to the far wall. A mirror hung there. Dirty. Fogged. But even from a distance, I saw my own reflection. Only, I wasn't alone in it. There were two of us in the glass. One standing behind the other. And the one in front? He was smiling. I looked back toward the man in the chair. He was gone. But something moved behind me. Something breathing. Slow. Wet. Familiar. I turned and saw the door. The one to 6B. Standing there in the middle of the dark. Red light spilling from the crack beneath it. And carved into the wood, the words, "Now you're in the wall." I don't remember walking through the door. I only remember standing on the other side of it. Back in my apartment. Or what was left of it. The walls were cracked now, not chipped paint, but deep fractures, like the whole building had been struck by something from the inside. Exposed wooden beams curved where they shouldn't. The ceiling sagged, as if it were too tired to hold itself up. The furniture was there, but it wasn't mine. Everything had aged. Warped. The couch looked like it had been soaked in water and left to rot. The kitchen counters were splintered wood, covered in grime and something that looked like dried wax. And then I heard it again. The clinking. Spoon against glass. Right behind me. I turned slowly. There, sitting at my kitchen table, was him. The man from the chair. From the mirror. From the wall. Me. But older. Wetter. Eyes dull and slightly graying at the edges. He was stirring something in a cracked coffee mug. "Finally made it back," he said, without looking up. I stepped back toward the door. I didn't come back. I left. He smiled, crooked, dry. "You left, yeah. And took everything with you. The name. The body. The voice." He looked up then. And in his eyes, I saw something that stopped my breath. Resentment. Pure and ancient. "You locked me in here," he said. My head spun. "You're not real. You're a hallucination. I'm losing my mind." "No," he said, standing up now. "You're finding it." He walked to the cracked mirror that now hung crooked above the sink. "Come look," he said. I didn't move. He pointed. "You need to see. This is how it ends." Reluctantly, I stepped closer. The mirror was fogged, but something flickered behind the condensation, not just a reflection. A memory. I saw myself. Younger. Moving in. Setting down boxes. Laughing on the phone. Then, I saw the wall. The one between 6A and 6B. I saw myself walk toward it. But I didn't knock. I opened it. A seam in the paint. A hidden panel. I slid it open, and inside, darkness. And within that darkness, another me. Trapped. Mouth moving soundlessly. Hands raised in desperate plea. I slammed the panel shut in the memory. Walked away. And forgot. Until now. The mirror cleared. Only one reflection. But it wasn't mine. It was his. "You never moved in," he whispered behind me. "You moved out." I turned, but the kitchen was empty. No rot. No cracked walls. Just silence. I was alone again. Or so I thought. I grabbed my phone, trying to record everything, proof, something to hold on to. But when I turned on the camera, it wasn't my face. Not entirely. My eyes twitched. A beat too slow. A flicker, like someone wearing a mask of me. I watched myself raise the phone, but I didn't remember doing it. I said something, but the words didn't come from my thoughts. They came from the wall. Now you know what it's like. The lights flickered. The hallway stretched. The door to 6B creaked open, though it had no knob. And from the darkness inside, I saw dozens of hands. All pale. mine. Reaching. Clawing. Grasping. I dropped the phone. Ran for the front door. But the number had changed again. Not 6A. Not 7B. Just carved into the wood with a knife. His. I didn't open it. Because I finally understood. There was never an apartment 6B. There was only me. And the parts I'd buried. I stood in front of the door for what felt like hours. The one labeled his. Not mine. Not anyone's. Just his. But who was he? I wanted to believe he was just a ghost. A leftover piece of trauma. Something I could understand, contain, dismiss. But deep down, I knew the truth. He was the part of me I'd left behind. The thoughts I never faced. The choices I pretended weren't mine. He wasn't a stranger. He was what was left after everything else peeled away. I turned the knob. The door didn't creak. It sighed, like it was relieved. Inside, there was no hallway. No staircase. No light. Just a room. Square. Windowless. And in the middle, a single chair, bolted to the ground. Straps on the arms. Blood on the floor. And sitting in the chair, tied, gagged, barely breathing, was me. My face. My eyes. My voice muffled in panic. I staggered forward, shaking. My hands reached out before I could think. I pulled the gag off. He gasped. "Don't let it in. Please, don't let it finish." I stepped back. "What is this?" "You're not supposed to be here," he said. "You weren't supposed to remember." Then I heard the footsteps. Behind me. I turned. And there, standing just inside the doorway, was the third version. Not me. Not him. But the thing that had crawled through the wall. Tall. Pale. Wearing my skin like a bad costume. Its mouth hung open just a little too wide. Its teeth were too smooth, too many. It pointed at the chair. "Time to take your place." I shook my head. "I didn't ask for this." "But you did," it said. "When you left me in the wall. When you forgot the knock. When you made a space no one was supposed to fill. You split in two. And now." It stepped closer. "You either go back in the chair, or you let me walk out of here wearing your face." I looked at the one still tied up. At the version of myself who had been screaming from behind walls and mirrors all this time. And I realized something. I didn't know which one I really was anymore. The one who walked away. The one who got trapped. Or the one who was born from that fracture in the wall. The chair was waiting. The thing, he held out the straps. "You don't get to leave whole," he said. "Nobody ever does." I looked at the door behind him. Still open. Still real. Freedom, maybe. Or another loop. I took one breath. Then another. And I walked toward the chair. He smiled. Not cruelly. Like he'd been waiting years for me to come home. I sat down. The straps clicked. And the other version of me, whoever he truly was, turned and walked out the door. I didn't stop him. I didn't scream. Because deep down, I understood. There always has to be someone in apartment 6B. To listen. To remember. To be the one behind the wall. And tonight, it's me. They say the apartment's empty now. They tell new tenants, "Don't worry. It's quiet." Last guy was strange, but he left. But sometimes, late at night, they'll hear it. Through the wall. Just a soft knock. Then another. Then a voice. Low, hoarse, and familiar. "You open the door. It's yours now."